Yes.
Mhm.
So my plan is to go through this PowerPoint and kind of show the high points, and then I'll just walk through the software. But it's totally available for everybody to
Good.
check out.
Very good. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to say anything, Tony, to get started, or?
No, I'm just glad to see so many people joined us. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's about 2 past, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for attending this. Like I said to Tony, this software went live December 1, essentially. And so this is my first time giving a presentation on this software. And I'm still learning about it as well. Some of you may have been familiar with our previous software subscription, Pivot. Same concept, a lot of the same features, just a little bit of a simpler interface, and I think some other features that are easier for us as sponsored project admin to use. So I will go through this PowerPoint because everybody loves a good PowerPoint. And then we'll go actually to the software. And I'll share the link to the software. It's out on our website as well. And so if you want to go out there and check it out, that's fine too. You can just follow along. I am monitoring the chat, so if you have a question and you don't want to unmute, you can type it in the chat box and I will get it. So this is an introduction to SPIN, the hunt for funding opportunities, because everybody's always trying to find a funding opportunity, a good one. My name is Augusta Isley. I'm a senior proposal manager with Sponsored Projects Administration. InfoEd SPIN, InfoEd is the company, SPIN is the software. It stands for Sponsored Programs Information Network. This is a searchable database of tens of thousands of funding opportunities from more than 10,000 global sponsors. It is, again, if you were familiar with Pivot, it's same pool, ocean of funding opportunities out there that this software is drawing on. And so that includes federal, nonprofit, state opportunities, associations, kind of all levels of sponsors. It also includes fellowships, some scholarships, some awards. So it really does run the gamut of funding opportunities. And this is new and existing funding opportunity information. It's updated by the InfoEd team. And there are search modes that are customizable internally to, so like the admins, our sponsored projects team can actually customize some of the search functionality, and you can track opportunities, you can save searches, you can modify searches, things like that. You can also get what are called smarts alerts that will send you updates in your email, which is always great because it's great to get opportunities straight to your email instead of having to go out and look for them. So as I said, this is the URL, and this is on our website, which our website is bsu.edu/SPA. Or you can just go ahead and go to spin.infoed.global, infoedglobal.com. And if you go just to the InfoEd up in the top right corner, there's a link to just SPIN, and it'll take you to the same page. And you'll see 2 options that'll come up. I think most of you probably got an email about an account. That was the before times. We actually, IT was able to turn on SSO. So that's the single sign-on. And so you can actually choose from the institutional credentials on the right-hand side to select Ball State from the drop-down list to log in using SSO. And then you'll be prompted probably to connect whatever your previous account was to the new one. And from then on, you'll just have an account. And you'll have access to saving searches, tracking funding opportunities, things like that. So like Pivot and like many other softwares, it is IP accessible on the BSU network. And what that means is so long as you're logged into BSU Connect or BSU Secure on the Ball State network, Spin will work even if you don't have an account. With SSO, that's not so much a big deal, but if we have perhaps visitors to campus or somebody using the software from the library, they would be able to utilize Spin and search without having to like log in and you go through SSO. They would just be able to access the software. So again, you can't like save searches or track anything, but you can utilize it and find some funding opportunities. Sorry, let me check and make sure that people are able to get in. Had some additional people log in. All right. We will go over the search features when I show you the software, but there are 3 distinct search modes. There's just plain text, and that's, you enter a keyword into a search and hit go, and it searches very generally. Like any other database, the funding opportunities are tracked and cataloged with keywords. And so there is a keyword search feature that allows a user to see records that fall in those categories. So those are records that have been labeled by the Spin team under certain keywords. And so advanced has sort of like all of the bells and whistles when it comes to keyword and text. And so you can add a number of parameters and filters that could potential to yield highly relevant results. You can also put so many filters on it that you filter out everything. So it's sort of like advanced is a double-edged sword. As you get more familiar with the software, that might be a more useful option for you. I haven't really played around much with the advanced options. I've really stuck to the text and the keywords and adding some additional filters in those ways. Yeah, I'll show you those as we kind of walk through it. And this is the what the menu looks like. And so there are these 3 text, keyword, and advanced. And then the administrator of the software itself has actually curated some lists down below. So that's under that line that are right now, obviously, people are looking for coronavirus resources and ways that they can get some funding for COVID and coronavirus, sometimes relief and sometimes in terms of research. And so that's what the first one that says coronavirus, all resources, those are everything that is non-research based. And then the coronavirus funding opportunities is specifically for research. New and modified opportunities would be for things that have been new in the last 7 days or modified opportunities in the last 7 days. Impending deadlines is a list of deadlines or open deadlines that are coming up in the next 8 weeks. I don't quite know whether that's within an 8-week period or 8 weeks out. Hopefully 8 weeks out, because that would be plenty of time, hopefully, to make an application. Limited submission programs. Limited submission is a term that is used when we are referencing like competitions that that only allow for maybe 1 or 2 applications from any one institution. And so the main example that I have is like the NEH summer stipend. They limit it to 2 applications from any organization. And so internally at Ball State, we have a limited submission competition to just that goes through a review process that we pick 2 of the best applications to actually go forward to the sponsor externally. And so that is that's like a search feature for if you're looking for limited submission competitions. FedBizOpps is actually the website that is for federal contracts. And so this is a curated list of federal contracts. The Federal Register Guide is actually pretty interesting. So the Federal Register, if you don't know, is a daily publication from the government that puts out like all manner of federal news, including funding opportunities in full. And it will make your eyes cross. It's just a mess to look at. But this apparently is a feature that SPIN has, that it pulls out relevant newly released funding opportunities from the last 4 weeks from the Federal Register. So that's pretty cool, I think, maybe. I don't know how useful it will be, but it's interesting. The non-traditional sources is a list of crowdfunding platforms, which I don't know if you know, but Ball State actually has a crowdfunding platform through the foundation. And if you would like more information about that, I'm happy to share after the presentation. And then I have a question. Will you be sharing this PowerPoint with us? Absolutely. And I'm also recording this. I don't know how useful this particular presentation will be in terms of cutting it up and putting it for help videos, but that's kind of the hope, is that we'll have some resources available, like short clips and things to put on the website for tips and tricks and tools for helping users get familiar with this. So there are a number of menu items that we'll go through. And so there's preferences, and these are the filters. And so as you're going through the text search or the keyword search, you can use the preferences menu to set filters. We do have institutions filters that are set sort of like by default to applicant location as the United States, and the applicant type is an institution of higher education, college, or university. You can toggle these on and off. These are just set from sponsored projects, so the admins, to sort of filter out maybe some things that we wouldn't necessarily be eligible for, but they're not set in stone. Like I said, users can turn them on and off, and you'll see when we go into the software that you can actually, there's a link for where you can turn them on and off. So you can save searches after you run them, which is really great. It's a handy feature that then will allow you to get alerts based on those searches. You can also do that for, let me go back, sorry. You can also do that for specific funding opportunities, which is kind of cool. And again, you could do that with Pivot as well. I just think the sort of the user functionality in SPIN is better for those types of features. Something that I personally am excited about, because I get excited about things like this, is that sponsored projects admins, me, and the other proposal managers in the office, we can actually set, we could run a search and save it and set it to public. And so if, you know, obviously education or educational studies is a big thing at Ball State, kind of across all disciplines. And so that's a search that, you know, I could set up and then set to public, and then any user at Ball State would be able to see that and run it, which I think is pretty cool. And that I think will come in handy in the future. I've set some up And I would be happy to hear feedback as sort of time marches on, if you find that useful or what have you. So like I said, you can save individual funding opportunities, and these are called bookmarks in the system. And so after you run a search and you see all of your opportunities, there's like a little plus sign, and you just click the plus and it will save it. And you can set up groups of opportunities. And so if you have different disciplines or different, maybe your research kind of has categories, you can actually put, you can categorize your saved funding opportunities into different groups, and then individually get updates on those in your Smarts alerts. Which Smarts alerts, look at this. So this is the save your search, and this is the window that'll come up, and you can decide if you want just like a plain text or if you want an HTML email. And then you can also have the frequency be daily or weekly. I don't know how many people would be getting daily updates from searches, but maybe if there's enough changes to a particular subject, you might get daily alerts. Typically, and what Pivot just did generally was weekly, and that seems to work out pretty all right. And so this is the window for your saved current search, and then you'll have a window for managing your searches, and then from a different window you would see all of your searches lined up, and then you can actually toggle on and off all of your searches in one place. So resources, like I said, we should be getting some resources on our website eventually. I'm targeting kind of during spring semester as we start to, as this gets rolled out and announced more on campus, we will be rolling this information into the workshops we do with the library. And so, and that information will be on our website. The link to SPIN is already on our website, it is live. In the software itself, there are some videos available under the help menu. Additionally, you can also just contact your sponsored project proposal manager, and they should be able to assist you with some information about SPIN. And then, so SPIN and InfoEd they don't have any resources. They don't have any resources from the company themselves, except for what's in the software. But I've done some YouTube searching about SPIN, and like the University of North Carolina, they have a set of tutorials that I thought were pretty good, and they're, you know, like 3 to 5 minute videos that you can check out for tips and tricks on how to use the software. We do have another question. Is Pivot going away? Yes, Pivot is going away. Last I checked last week, it was still live. And so if we have search alerts set up through it, will we continue to get them? In theory, no, because our subscription will be canceled. So if you do have search alerts, I haven't checked to know if Pivot is still live for Ball State, but you can go into your current Pivot account and move those over. Or if you happen to know, or move them over is like basically reset them up in SPIN. And if you would have to rerun the search, but you can, you know, it would be the same alert setup. And if you know what the funding opportunity is, you could probably search to find that in SPIN to set those up. So yeah, there's the menu picture. And then here is my contact information. Again, our website is bsu.edu/SPA. And there you can find your proposal manager from the Find Your Proposal Manager or Grant Manager list. It's a big link up at the top of like every page. So before we go to the software, are there any questions or comments of concern right now?
Augusta, I had a question. The Ball State, in addition to Pivot, had, I think, 2 other grant searching tools available. I don't remember what they are anymore. Have they gone away as well?
Yes. So there was Grant Select, which was a smaller database, and we did usage statistics were showing that no one was really using it. And so that one was canceled, I believe, last year. And then we have the Grants Resource Center, which was a larger agency that we in the past had used a lot, but in recent years had just really not had much use of it. And those are always things that we could maybe bring back eventually if there was interest, but those 2 resources are no longer available.
Does SPIN overlap with any of those resources? In other words, would some of those resources kind of fall under the SPIN umbrella?
Absolutely. And so that was kind of the other thing with Pivot and Grant Select, is it was the same funding opportunities. Just Pivot had more. And so in SPIN are the same funding opportunities that are in Pivot.
Good.
Augusta, I have a question.
Sure.
So if I remember right, when Pivot was launched, we were expected to sign up for it and kind of get some, rudimentary skills in using it. And then once we got past that point, there were different opportunities through SPA to get some training on how to be more effective in using it. Is that going to be the same case with SPIN? In other words, will our project managers work with us to kind of help us drill down to be more effective when we search?
So that is a great question. We used to have a what was called Focus on the Search. It was a workshop. Jesse Rourke gave it, and there were kind of two flavors of that. There was like the introduction, kind of like what I'm doing right now, and then there was a second part that was a more focused attempt, maybe small groups when we could, present together in person, where somebody would sit down and actually talk faculty or students through what search they had already set up, and then how they can kind of hone that in a little bit. We don't currently have that available. And I would think that you could certainly contact your proposal manager to kind of help with some of that. This actually brings up a wonderful opportunity. We just this week, Che Regal has started in our office as the pre-awards communications. And yes, there he is. Hi, Che. The outreach person, and eventually, like I said, he just started Monday, and this is all new. He will kind of be taking over some of these educational opportunities, and as he gets his feet on the ground with knowledge of SPA and what we offer and what we need, that may be something that he brings back is kind of a focused search strategies kind of workshop. But as I said, currently that is not offered as a separate workshop.
Thanks, Augusta.
Yeah, thank you. Other questions? Okay, so I'm gonna switch off and go to the software. So I am logged in to the software. I have two accounts, one that I can show you the user view so that it's not confused with the admin view. So I am moonlighting as my maiden name. You can log out. Although with the single sign-on, I've really just not had a lot of success with signing out, and that's maybe a good thing. But once you get logged in, sorry, this is the search interface. And you can see up here at the top, there are all of these menus, and you can toggle through the search features by just clicking on them, and then it'll prompt you pretty much every time as you go through the system. It will prompt you like, are you sure that you want to go off of this? And then you just say continue. And that's also kind of nice because as you'll see when you're searching, if you try to go to a different page in the middle of your search, it will ask you if you want to save it. And so instead of having to remember that you want to save something, it will prompt you, which is nice. And so with the text search, as I said, you just put in a keyword and then click locate funding. And so that will bring up your list. And it's very pretty clean, pretty easy to check out. You just click on the opportunity title, and then you will have a window that comes up. And of course, you probably can't see that. Let's do something really quick. Let me share my screen and not my window. There. So here you will see this is the opportunity. It does open in a new window. And if you're familiar with Pivot, it does have basically the exact same, the same information is included in there, including the deadline. I haven't quite figured out what funding level means yet. And then eligibility, it does have a little bit of information here. It goes down into detail in the second section. The program information is the link out to the sponsor website. And if you've ever heard me talk about funding opportunities, I will say until I'm blue in the face that this database, any database that you kind of look at in terms of funding opportunities is great, but ultimately the information that you need is on the sponsor website. And so that's really where, if one of these opportunities looks good, you'll always want to go out to the sponsor website to review the information there, because, we are all just human, and so are the administrators of this software. And so, they could miss something. And so that, but on the sponsor website, that's going to be the last word, essentially. Synopsis and objectives is, again, just kind of a summary of what they fund. Institutional instructions, this is just like who to contact. And I see that should probably be updated with actual contact information, not just an address. The second section is eligibility. Here you can see that the applicant location requirements are Canada. And so that leads me to believe that my institutional filters are off. But you can see if there is a geographic restriction on this. And usually that's like the fine print for a lot of funding opportunities is you'll see something and you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then you see that they only fund in Georgia or in like a county in Minnesota. And so you always want to read that fine print. And that may be more obvious on the sponsor's website. Also, that's something your proposal manager can help you with. If you see a funding opportunity that you're like, oh, this is great, but I'm not quite sure, you can always reach out to Sponsored Projects, and we will review that funding opportunity and make sure that it is actually, we're eligible and we're able to apply for it. And then we'll, of course, start that process with you. Under funding, you can see what the guidelines are, what they fund, some of maybe their restrictions if there's cost sharing, if indirect costs are allowable, that's kind of nice because as we go into the great unknown in the next year with the new budget model, indirect costs are becoming more of a question. So that's interesting. Deadline notes, you can see when things are due. This is due February 1st. I would also, this is sort of a cautionary tale of things that I've seen recently. Somebody pulled up a funding opportunity and they put it in an internal grant application. And they said, hey, I'm gonna, you know, after this internal funding, I'm gonna apply for this external one. And they gave a link to Pivot. Well, when you actually went out to the sponsor website, they had canceled the competition because of COVID. And so just kind of another note that this information is great, but always refer to that sponsor website for the most up-to-date information. And then there's just sponsor contact information here. If it's federal in nature, it will provide a CFDA number here. And underneath, you can see all of the keywords that are affiliated with this particular opportunity. And I believe if you click on one of these, it will search for that. And so you can see what opportunities would fall under a particular keyword. You can't click on any of these, but you can go back and modify your search to include that keyword. Now that I'm rambling a whole lot, are there any questions? I can't bring up my chat. Where's the chat? Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. Do the filters use and or require use of the wildcard character? Great question. So let me click out of here, click out of there. Yes, you can use the wildcard, the and the or. This will become obvious in the more obvious in the keyword search. So we'll go to the keyword search. Here it shows the and the or. Here you actually can't type in the box. You have to select keywords from this keyword selector. And so then it'll give you, you have two options up here at the top. It's Explorer or Searcher. Explorer will actually let you go through like a folder searching, and you just click through kind of which, and then category 3, I believe, is just the actual keywords, not the categories. And so you can go to behavioral and early childhood development. And then down here on this choose keywords, you actually have to select them. So that's, you know, not necessarily intuitive or user friendly, but you can select multiples. If I can click on it. Sure. And then once you have your selections, you then go up to Save Selections and Continue. And then it shows your what you've chosen. And this little number right here is how many funding opportunities will come up, or how many are underneath that keyword. And so you can see here what's come up. It's not all of them. It would be what is this or this. I believe if you do and, yeah, it would be 0. So there's maybe not any like cross-pollination there between those two funding opportunities. Do the filters use and or require use of a wildcard character? No, the filters do not. If you're doing, but you could use them in the search, the plain text search feature. So let's do a different search. So I'm going to clear my filters and select new keywords. I'm going to do it from the searcher. And so here, if you don't want to go clickety click through the different folders, you can always just whatever you're looking for, click it in, type it in the box and then figure out what's available. And so sports medicine is a keyword. And so here we've selected our keywords, save selections and continue. And then we'll locate funding. And so this is underneath sports medicine. These are some opportunities that have come up. If you want to include additional filters, you can go here. This is the additional filters I was talking about with that link. And so you can click here to edit your filters. And so applicant location, you can select from this listing and just select save and exit. And then once you set that, then you go back to your previous page and it will filter your opportunities accordingly. And so from here, say, oh my gosh, I gotta go do something else, you can save your search. And so up here at the save, you just click save, you name your search, and then decide from this drop down whether you want an HTML or a plain text email, or if you want weekly or daily frequencies on those smarts alerts. And so those go straight to your email, or none if you don't want anything right now. And then you just click save changes. Easy peasy. If you don't want to save the whole search and you just want maybe like 1 or 2 opportunities, the bookmarks feature is here, and you just click on the one you want. And then this comes up and you can select a new or existing group. So in terms of this one, I had already created a category for sports medicine. I've already kind of bookmarked a couple opportunities. And so then I can just select the existing group instead of creating a new one, and it will save it to that group. And so then to access my saved searches, I can go to saved searches, manage saved searches. And then again, like I said, it prompts you before you go off. If you hit save and continue, it will actually try to save the search again, even though you just saved it. So here we'll just say continue, and then it will take us to our saved searches. And so that here you can delete them. If you want to update your smarts alerts based on a search, you go under funding alerts and you manage your funding alerts there. And so you can go here, and there you'll see these smarts alerts for whatever your search that you have set up for those weekly alerts. And you can say none. Here you can change it if you've noticed that you're just getting a lot of weekly updates, then you can maybe change it to daily. But like I said before, weekly is probably enough. Bookmarks, that's again your saved specific funding opportunities. And here you can see, here's my category of sports medicine, and here are the 2, if I can hold it still, here are the 2 opportunities that I have saved. And if you go into there and you click it, it will bring up that funding opportunity, and it'll show you that you've bookmarked it. You can unbookmark it here, or maybe you want to email it, and you can email it HTML to maybe a colleague, maybe a partner. Maybe something comes up in your list that you're like, this isn't for me, but I know somebody who might be interested. You could email it to them. And you say email it HTML, and then you can actually email it to anyone. It'll have this, it'll have your email here, and then you just enter other people's emails, whoever's getting it, and then you can edit the subject. You can actually edit the full text of the, if you wanted, of the funding opportunity, and then just send it. And then, so kind of the last thing to cover is the public searches that I was talking about earlier. So under your saved searches, there is a link to public searches. And here you can see some searches that I pulled over from my Pivot account that had been saved. And so if you are interested in any of these, or as kind of we develop, we don't want, as we develop searches, we might add them here if we find them to be of particular use. I think any faculty could ask their, like I said, their proposal manager to help them build a search. Obviously, we don't want to get the public searches to be too out of control, because then that in itself is not useful. To have like tons of searches that then you have to search through to find out if it's a useful search for you. That doesn't make much sense. So we will be pretty strategic about these public searches, the ones that I pulled over as an example. And so then if you just want to run it, you can click run and you load it, and it will run the search for you. And then from there, if you wanted to save that, or if you wanted to modify that search, you could, and then save it to your own account. The other thing, if you wanted to, there is this export feature. And so you can actually export a search to an Excel spreadsheet or to Microsoft Word. And so that essentially gives you exactly what's on the screen and exports it to another file. So in theory, you could save your searches that way as well. There are embedded links in those downloads. And so it will take, like, if you just open that file, you can click the link and it'll take you right to the record. So I am going to stop screen sharing. That is the end of this presentation. Does anyone have any questions about SPIN or searching or anything like that? Or want to see some other feature that maybe I went too fast over, or whatever. Or if anybody has like started poking around in the software, if you have questions about functionality, I can try to answer them now.
While my colleagues are thinking over their questions, one thing came to mind. I recall in COS Pivot, there was a way to look at other researcher profiles or something to that extent, that if you were looking for collaborators, common interests across campus. Is anything like that available on SPIN?
So that's a great question. That is one of the features that we do not have. SPIN does not have. It doesn't have access to researcher profiles. Not to say that that wouldn't be available maybe in the future if SPIN were to develop that, but that was a feature that was unique to Pivot.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah, that's a good question. Everyone's just so enamored with the software.
It's going to take a little time, I think.
Yeah, I think that there were, like I said, it's new to me too. We've had it available since the summer, but it's, it's still new, that we're kind of getting the look and feel. And also, a software, they can say that it works one way, but as you start to develop a feel for it, it may not work the way that they say it's supposed to work. I find that to be the case for a lot of softwares.
Sure. Yeah, it's just going to take time for people to play in it. So if faculty do have questions, they should direct them to their proposal manager?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, this Spin is just one piece of software that you have. You have another piece of software too that's maybe similar to this. And is that kind of what I have a feeling that you said, or is this pretty much the major search engine that you have?
Great question. Yeah, so I referenced Pivot a lot. That was our previous software that we switched subscriptions. So Spin is that is our main piece of software, and we no longer have access to Pivot. And there's nothing wrong with like a good Google search for finding funding opportunities. Funding opportunities are, they're kind of everywhere, and you don't have to limit your searching to just Spin. We suggest newsletters, talking to colleagues, also looking at any journals that you are of particular interest to your discipline. Typically, like in the references or whatever, they will, if that study was funded by something, it'll make reference to that. There's it's now called Candid, but the Foundation Center is pretty good for having funding opportunities, lots of resources there in terms of nonprofit type sponsors. I get a daily email from them for upcoming RFPs that I will sometimes look at. Again, a lot of those are maybe not totally applicable to Ball State, but I have found a couple good ones that I've sent out. Other questions?
Well, Augusta, hearing none, I think we can probably call it quits for today. Thank you very much. We very much appreciate you coming on and introducing us to Spin, and now it'll be up to us to get out there and start using it. It looks like there's a lot of hand clapping and thumbs up you're getting too. So
Good.
Great job. And I know we have another session tomorrow, and 25 more faculty and other colleagues have all signed up for that. So we'll look forward to that. And thanks again. So
yes, thank you. And if you have any questions beyond, you fall asleep and you have a question in the morning, that's fine. Just email us.
Okay. And you'll send the PowerPoint slides to the attendees?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.